With Bitcoin's weekly closed candle above the Gaussian channel, what does this mean next for BTC and those altcoins? Guys, as we get into this video, we're going to be diving down into the crypto space to see exactly what is going on. If you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with that said, done and out of the way, let's jump on down to the desktop and take a look at what's going on. Okay guys, so as we can see here we have Bitcoin to USD. Obviously this is the weekly chart, Gaussian channel here, and we can see that we are got that weekly close candle just above, which is good to see, right? So pretty much in line with the expectations of what we were talking about last night. Okay, so that's good to see that's kind of come in right where you need it to be. Now this week we can see this come down, okay, and we can see it come back out again. Again, looking for that close above the Gaussian channel, okay? So when we go through the smaller time frames with Bitcoin, obviously do be aware that we are going to potentially pull back down into the Gaussian channel, but we will probably leave by the time the weekly close candle comes to an end. Something similar that you saw previously just up here in September. We came down, we managed to avoid the close, and then very next week we went down again into the Gaussian channel, but then we moved on up and got the close much higher. Okay, and again, every time we've come close, we can see that we have kind of come into the Gaussian channel a couple of times here. 2 wicks in this scenario, 2 wicks in this scenario. I wouldn't expect anything different here, but you know, we'll see. Okay, so ultimately what we have seen though is once we kind of got into the Gaussian channel closed above it, we've seen that good surge to the upside both times so far. Okay, so you know, history tends to repeat itself until it doesn't, but you know, we'll see if we're going to get that spike to the upside. Main thing is we are not in a bear market until we effectively have closed this weekly candle inside this channel, and again, this is throughout history. We can see if I just zoom in on 2017, for example. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, or 2018. Avoided it, we bounced up, we got the close inside, and then we slipped in. Okay, slipped in and then under. Okay, so basically this is your bear market. Now, obviously, this is quite significantly higher from the top. We have that parabolic move. What we're currently experiencing, arguably, is this little section just here. Okay, we had that initial push up, the pull back, the push up, the pull back. Okay, and then parabolic move. Okay, and again, as you can see, it wasn't straight lines either. Okay, we continued to kind of test and push up. Now, a lot of denial in here. Okay, these several weeks here, if I actually get my time frame, lots of denial from the peak through to actually getting that closed candle. 22 weeks worth of denial. Okay, so it's not a fast kind of drop, right? You are going to drop significant value. I know people talk about Bitcoin being the safest asset, etc. From the top down to the bottom, you lost 83% of the value. Okay, so it's not a small 20-30% drop. In Bitcoin, it is still 80% drop here in 2017, 2018. There's no reason to think otherwise or any other differently, right? We could also take a look from the 2013 down to that low there, 86%. Okay, so history does tend to repeat itself until, of course, it doesn't. Meaning basically that anything is possible, but most probable is going to be the history repeating itself. Okay, unless something different happens. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results, right? Have we seen anything different really? Not yet. We see the same patterns forming and playing out over and over again. 2013, 2014, as you can see, we slipped down, we bounced from that Gaussian channel, and then we slip in bear market. Okay, so right now, knowing where we are with our 2021 bull run, we bounce. We could slip in, of course, you know, we could see that bear market, but this pattern is unusual, okay, because none of the previous examples that I've just showed you had a good run up, they bounced down, they bounced down, they bounced up to new all-time highs, then slipped into the bear market like this. That's never happened before. Okay, instead, what you had is a 2013 high double top. You had the first one, we came down close, we bounced, then we went parabolic. Okay, in 2017, we went just parabolic. It was a nice steady kind of curve to the upside. Okay, and so basically, yeah, we're looking for that kind of move to the upside. We're looking for that parabolic move next, okay? And that's kind of where we are right now. I think it's very unlikely that we're going to slip into the Gaussian channel, but there are forces that are at play here. whales that are playing their games, manipulating things, etc. And of course, we do have some external factors as well, right? Evergrande, for example. I don't think the Chinese government or for the world, for that matter, could survive very well if they went into administration. I think that would be very, very damaging for so many different reasons, right? So it's important that we acknowledge that, yes, there's a lot of fear in the space around it. There is an impact on the stock market, the crypto market, as a result of that particular piece of news. And every time the market seems to tank, there's something to do with Evergrande ticking around in the background as well. But I don't think it's very likely that we're going to see them go into administration, and not from a practical perspective if we think about the logistics of everything that would actually unfold once that were the case. But, these things can happen, so we have to acknowledge that they are events that are outside of our control that could potentially have a negative impact on everything that's kind of going on with Bitcoin. Now, when I say outside of our control, they're within the control of certain individuals, so we'll watch that space as it is, etc. And for the most part, though, Bitcoin's looking pretty good, right? So we can see that we didn't get the close. We've got some good traction to kind of expect to happen in the future. And as long as we stay out this 𝗗𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 channel, we're in a bull run, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into, I'm going to just turn that off for a second and come into our hourly view. There's a few things that I think are worth noting. Let me just put that back because we need, right, there we go. So obviously we had the analysis that we were tracking yesterday. We found ourselves with well, a bit of a bottom and a bit of a top, which is unusual for the most part. So let me just clear this up a little bit. Okay, so what we're actually tracking here is a big ABC move. We were expecting the B to come down to about 47.5K. Instead, we found a nice level of support right here. And I'm just going to quickly mark that up and you can see it, right? We had this double tap at the bottom. Now, normally what you get from a double tap is a good surge to the upside. We actually had this kind of come up quite nicely up towards 49K just after that and then pulled back down. Okay, so most recently we were kind of talking about this, last night. We were expecting a pullback deeper with a C wave taking us into where this B wave currently is, right? So we're expecting an ABC inside here. Instead, what we've actually gone and done is kind of double tap the bottom here, basically meaning that the C wave and the A wave would be pretty much identical. And as a result of that, what you would actually be looking for is to basically only push up as high as the A wave. So if this was our A and this was our B, our A wave is going to take us right back to that same spot, unless we go and overextend above it, which would be a breakout of the resistance that we are finding right up here at the top of an A wave. Now, we are expecting this C wave to come in. We can see that we haven't actually hit that C wave yet. Instead, we found this ceiling at the top end here, at the upper end, right? So right now, we know that, we are basically trying to find this bottom of a B wave, which might be here, it might be a little bit lower, we don't know yet. Okay, we'll have to see how that one plays out, but this double tap at the bottom is really interesting. Okay, so that could be the bottom. We can see the stochastic has to rise, so therefore we are looking for that surge. That surge to the upside could take us above the resistance level of the previous A, triggering in this C wave. Okay, the C wave should be up here anyway when we measure out the distance of A and we put that in against C here. We are looking to move up above 50K. Okay, so that would be the next kind of move for Bitcoin, and then that would be followed usually by an ABC down before we get that next move to the upside. So overall, Bitcoin's looking very interesting, right? Some good progress has been made. Some good support has been found outside of the 𝗗𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 channel, and we're continuing to ride this. Now, the volatility is still there, though. There's lots of fear in the space. Lots of people calling it a bear market, even though we've narrowly avoided the bear market. I think it's important that we acknowledge that we are going to more than likely pull back down. I do not anticipate us going down lower than where we've actually gone, right? The completion of our big ABC move, okay, on the bigger kind of time frame here, the big ABC. I do not expect us going down lower than that, okay? But it is, of course, possible, but I think it's not probable, okay? So what we're really looking for here is to basically continue this kind of sideways trade until confidence comes back in, until some whales buy up some Bitcoin once they realize they're not shaking out as so many retail investors, or liquidating more people, because obviously we've had several kind of liquidation events on this journey so far. I think a lot of retail investors are getting very, very fed up with Bitcoin, and rightfully so. But ultimately, no, we are looking pretty interesting for Bitcoin. Now, obviously, on the back of Bitcoin's pullback, we have seen all the altcoins bleeding. Now, when you have a kind of Bitcoin bear market scenario, usually speaking, obviously the history, you have Bitcoin kind of pull back down, right? Bitcoin would basically detach from the alts. So you'd see Ethereum in green, whilst Bitcoin was potentially in the red or just static going sideways. You don't see that, which basically means that decoupling hasn't happened, which means the alt season hasn't started yet. Now, you do see a pocket of green here. This is Algorand. And there are a few other pockets of green, right? And it's important that we acknowledge those. You can also jump over to the advice.io dashboard and you can see some up ratings here as well as some down ratings. So there are some projects that are performing quite well under this recent volatility. But for the most part, we are not seeing that kind of mass detachment of altcoins versus Bitcoin, what you would normally see. Okay, you see Bitcoin dominance and altcoin dominance vastly different to what you see right now. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance at 40.9 and Ethereum at 21.6. Again, what you would expect here would basically be, Bitcoin dominance dropping down to 30 or so % during the alt season. Okay, so we know that Bitcoin dominance isn't where it normally would be. So again, we're just waiting for this last shakeout, which I do think it is going to be the last shakeout before Bitcoin goes parabolic and just is basically going to get some mainstream adoption. You'll start seeing some mainstream media kind of get talking about Bitcoin, etc. So all the whale friends will be, communicating to the masses, talking about people getting involved in Bitcoin. Basically, you should be investing in Bitcoin. That kind of narrative will start to emerge. And when you start seeing that, you'll see mainstream media kind of covering Bitcoin and saying that it's the best thing since sliced bread and that you should be investing, right? We know otherwise. We know that actually Bitcoin is not a good portfolio driver. It doesn't actually really make a good hedge in a bear market either, because it is going to lose 80% of its value, whereas altcoins might lose 90 to 95% of their value. So we know it's not going to help you kind of protect it that way, but we know basically Bitcoin is the narrative. It's the kind of market leader because we are told it's the market leader and no other reason really behind it other than just kind of marketing, right? So we are expecting that kind of mainstream kind of narrative to start to form. And that's when you'll see Bitcoin really reach those numbers that people are talking about, getting some decent traction behind it. Now, obviously, once that happens, and altcoins will rise with it, but it will be they'll be static or they'll be kind of going sideways. Some will go up, whilst Bitcoin goes up. Once Bitcoin has completely had its top, and money starts to come out of Bitcoin, it goes into the altcoins. Basically, all altcoins will eventually go parabolic. Not all at the same time, mind. There'll be a cycle through the markets, and leaving Bitcoin basically dominance going down, 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 with altcoin dominance going up, up, up. Okay, overall, Bitcoin dominance going down to around 30%, and altcoins obviously rising significantly. So for the most part, we are pretty much aligned to a standard kind of correction in the crypto space, right? We can see Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down. Okay, so that's kind of where we are right now. Overall, the market is going to be interesting probably for the next week or so. And the main thing to do when you have a volatility like this is to kind of just hodl, monitor the situation, and do not overreact. Do not act emotionally, but act rationally instead. It's always best to kind of wait for a bounce if you think you pull down too significantly. Everything in this market bounces, and you can see this with the wave counts, etc. Right. So right now we are expecting that bounce to the upside after the recent pullback from A to B. Will go up to C, and then expect us to pull down or bounce down, depending on how you want to look at it, with an A wave bounce up for B, bounce down for C, and so forth, right? So we count the waves, and you should be able to navigate this pretty reasonably. Guys, I am going to leave the video there. Just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick update on what's been going on in the crypto space right now, with Bitcoin closing above the 𝗗𝗂𝗪𝗓 channel. This is positive news for the bull run continuing. Guys, if you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.